This is J.P. Bang Music.
Suck it up,
Purchase your
boy.
tracks
You
today.
know. Suck it up, boy. You know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Straight from the Horse's Mouth. I'm excited this week to have my guest on here, and we're gonna really cut to the chase real fast. But let me give a few shout outs. I'm gonna give a shout out to my partner in crime, Ruben Pena with SD and Infidel Magazine, Jel Tover with State Farmers Insurance, Culture Sides, my man Chris Smith, and also the man behind the scenes, James and James Hicks Media. Can't say enough about how they helped to put together the show. But today, my special guest is going to be Isaiah McDaniels. This young man's story is close to me for one. It's very inspiring, just the way he's overcome so many things to get where he's at. And I'm just so proud and wanted to be a part of his process. So I wanted to be able to get his story from recruiting through his lens and let kind of tell his story, how he got to where he's at, some of the obstacles he had to face, and some of the things he had to go through in order to get where he's at. And I just can't say enough about the young man. He's just a great athlete and better person. You know, from what I can, from everything I've known about him. So, without further ado, let's bring Isaiah McDaniels onto the show. How you doing, my man? How you doing?
What's good? I'm doing good, Montel. I'm doing well. How about you?
Great, man. Great. I'm excited to have you on the show. For those who don't know, Isaiah McDaniels plays for the University of South Dakota. He's the safety there. And if you haven't watched him highlights, especially from the last couple of years when he played, you're missing out on an exciting young player that is doing some really dynamic things up there. And actually, he's changing the way he's part of the culture that's changing the way that ball is played in South Dakota. They used to be kind of bottom feeders of the division. Now you guys are fighting for the top and also fighting for playoff spots now. And you're one of the reasons for that, man. So, you know, I wanted to make sure I get you on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I actually just got back from one of our, skill workout practices that we do, we got a structure, like you said, there's been a culture shift, in our program. We grinding, but we working together. That's the most important part.
That's great. Now, we're kind of from the same place. You're from San Diego. I'm from San Diego. I want to talk about your journey. And I want to talk about it from your junior year kind of to where you landed and how you landed in South Dakota. And I'm going to let you tell the story, and I'm going to interject a little bit, but let's hear from you. From junior year all the way up. Let's go.
Okay, so, I'm from San Diego, California, right? So, we breed athletes, historic athletes come from our city. I went to Madison High School, one of the powerhouses in the city, a top 5 football team in the city. We had multiple D1 athletes at our school. Shout out to guys like, Samson Niu, Chris Fatulua, Jojo Follow, Bryson Collins, that whole defense that we had, just even that linebacker core that we had, it was different. It took us to a state championship. So, everybody was getting offers, everybody was getting looks, scouts were pulling up. But, I had some of those come in. I had my first offer. It was the University of San Diego. They offered me, shout out to Coach V, great support system. Team Akasi has definitely helped me out throughout that recruiting process. They were actually the ones that jump-started my recruiting process, was just like, Coach Long, Coach V, Meach, all those guys, good people, good men, great men. They put me on. And so that was like my first offer. Then, because the hard part is getting the first offer, right? Like a lot of guys that's in high school right now, like they know, like that first offer is the hardest offer to get. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to get that first program to believe in you.
Yeah. Let's pause right there. That first offer, how did you feel when you got it? I want to know how you felt when you got that first offer.
It was kind of poetic because, ever since I was a little kid, like, I don't know, like, just me personally, I've never been the guy, like, in San Diego is like very known, like, you go to like performance trainers and like you have like a skill instructor and stuff. Like I never had one of those. Like I was just always being myself, you know. And
Mhm.
so my junior year when I got that offer, it was just like kind of like wow, like you know, like
Yeah.
this
Somebody
is
believes
really
in me, right?
happening.
Yeah, somebody
Yeah,
believes in me. That's kind of that overwhelming feeling, right? Somebody actually
right,
believes in my talent. Yeah.
right.
Continue. You guys, Ballers, Madison was balling for those 2 years. You guys were like one of the most dominant teams in Southern California, not only in San Diego. That defense, like you said, several Division One players. Offense had Division One players. You got coaches that were former D1 players. Coach
Yes,
Jackson was running a stellar program at that. I mean, he always was a stellar program, but that particular team was very special. And
very.
you, I don't, I know you don't want to toot your own home, but you were an anchor. We already knew about Samson. We already knew about Bryce. We already knew about JoJo. But you were the kind of unsung hero in that defense, like the no-name guy that was making a lot of plays. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know,
Yeah.
I've always played for like the same teams. You know, I never really like I've never really been a transfer type of guy. Like I just kind of always play for the same teams. I kind of have like a New England Patriots type of like work ethic. Like I just do my job, I show up, do my job, do my part, you know what I'm saying? And lead by example and try to inspire the people around me to be better. Not just like focusing on me because I want to better myself, but also like trying to better the people around me. So just by doing that, you know, in turn, like we make plays together, we have fun together, we celebrate together. And so those 2 years were just very historic because it was really like a brotherhood. We were all connected and we just all made plays together.
Yeah. Now let's jump into the senior year. Senior year, another great season. Recruits are coming out the woodwork, and offers are kind of starting to roll in for you. Let's talk about that. More offers are starting to kind of roll in.
Yeah, so that's when I started getting my more heavy offers. Like, you know, I got the Air Force Academy. That was my first FBS offer. And I was very excited about that. They had actually it's funny because during this time I was working at SeaWorld, right? It was like my summer job. And I
Yeah.
was working and they called me. It was like Memorial Day. It was Memorial Day, and they called me because they knew that my grandpa, he had served 22 years in the Air Force.
Mhm.
So they called me on Memorial Day, try to like frame it like that, and offer me a full scholarship, and like just the feeling. I can't really explain the feeling. Like it's like a surreal, like a natural like feeling to where it's like wow, like you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
it's just an awesome feeling, like wow, it's like, somebody really believes in me. So you feel it like deeper, it's deeper than the surface.
Correct. And I know several other schools kind of approached you, really wanted you, and you settled on you first originally committed to, was it Air Force?
Air Force,
Or
yep.
yeah. So you originally committed to Air Force. I know things are going along. Season's over, great season. We're getting to the spring. We're getting prepared to go to college, and then what happens?
Boom. So Air Force pulls my offer, right? Air Force pulls my
Yes.
offer, but they pulled it. It was like 4 days before signing day because my
Yeah.
SAT score wasn't high enough. It wasn't high enough for admissions to accept me, and so that's
Mhm.
a kind of thing, a part of the recruiting process too. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about your athletic ability. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of other when you go to the Division 1 level, not even just Division 1, like any level, D2, D3, NAIA, it doesn't matter. Like you have to have the whole package. You have to have your grades right. You do have to have the tape. You got to have the film. You got to have the SAT or the ACT, depending on which school you go into. So it all has to come together. And if you don't have it, then you know what I'm saying? There's a bunch of other kids in the country, who want that spot just like you. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
And all college
man,
coaches are going to say is next.
hey,
Like that's
man,
just the nature of the business. And when you're that young, you don't understand it. But just already being in this game, this next level for so long, you kind of see it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
yep.
coaches are trying to win games. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
No, man, I got goosebumps, man, because you just hit it right on the head. I think kids in the age of 17 to 18 do not understand the process of recruiting and how it works. Like you said, you got to be the total package, regardless of your level. You have to be the total package player coming in. And I think kids rely so much on their athletic ability, or they'll rely on they'll rely on the academics, but they don't understand you got to have the right size, right speed, right ability to play,
Right.
and it has to be the right time.
Right.
On top of that, it has to be the right school, because if
Right.
none of those things fit, it doesn't work. It
It
won't work.
doesn't work. It won't work. It won't work.
Exactly. It doesn't work. And I think parents and kids overlook that. They get so caught up on the hype of I'm going Division 1, or my kids should be playing here or playing there, which me and you both know a lot of kids that think they're Division 1 are far from being Division 1 players.
Exactly. And you know what happens? And you know what happens, Montel, is they get to D1, right? So they say, all right, like I'm going D1. So they end up maybe taking like a PWO to a
Mhm.
D1 or some,
Yep.
believing in themselves, taking a risk. So they go there, but then they realize like, oh, like I can't keep up. Like you
Yeah.
gotta be real with yourself. Like, and it's not even like a shameful thing. It's just like you gotta be real with yourself. You have to know who you are as a person and
Mhm.
where you're at currently in the now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
Yeah.
you can get to that level in due time and you can transfer
Yeah.
back to D1 once
Mhm.
you get your technique right and you get the right coaching at the right school, maybe at a lower level school. And then you can
Mhm.
grand transfer back to a D1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
No,
like
I'm
you
going.
gotta really like strategize your plan. You can't just
Yes.
go in
Man,
blindsided.
you are hitting on the head exactly where I think 97% of the kids are. You know, that 3% of that Power 5 kids they're just different. But the 97% of kids are, a lot of them aren't there at that Division 1 level. And the ones that aren't, you're right. You have to figure your way out. You're not developed to be there yet. You know, the guys that are
Exactly.
going
You're
Power
not
5,
developed enough yet. You're not developed enough yet.
exactly. It's not your skill set, it's you're not developed enough yet. And they got to understand Division 1 is not a developing platform. You got to be ready.
Exactly. And that's why maybe I wasn't ready for the Air Force, right? Like maybe that was a blessing in disguise. Like maybe the academic, the rigorous academic, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
maybe that would have been too much for me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Who knows? God only knows. But you know, I ended up at South Dakota and they showed me love,
Yeah.
excuse me, from day one. You know what I'm
But
saying? So like,
what,
you know, I ended up in a great situation. I've had the honor to have some great teammates, great coaches, learn from a lot of great human beings, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, everything happens for a reason at the end of the day. So
I agree, man. I really believe people don't put enough emphasis on the development part. Like, just because you're good in San Diego doesn't mean you're good across the country at these Division 1 schools, because there's
boom.
somebody everywhere playing. You know, San Diego, as good as football as we have there, we're a small microcosm to everybody that plays in the United States. You know, Georgia got
Exactly.
ballers, Florida got ballers, Wyoming has ballers, South
Right.
Dakota has some ballers there. Everybody has some guys that can play ball. And I think when kids get fixed in on their city saying, hey, I think I should be in Division 1, hold on, are you the complete package before you go to Division 1? And it doesn't necessarily mean you didn't outshine the kid across the town that is Division 1, but you got to be, like you said, honest with yourself, honest with
Right.
your ability. That
Right.
kid is already 6'2", 205. I'm 5'9", 180.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll let the counting in rushing, but that kid right there, he's his body, his development, he's already developed to be a Division 1 player. I still have a
Exactly.
long ways to go. So
Exactly.
I think people need to understand, and I'm glad you said that. I think kids really need to take a step back and look in the mirror. You know,
Yes.
they get so excited and say, hey, I want to go D1, or I play for Lincoln, or I'm playing for Madison, or I'm playing for Helix. I should be a Division 1 player. It doesn't work that way.
It
Recruiting
don't work
doesn't work
like
that way at
that.
all.
It
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're saying it from your perspective, because I want kids to understand they need to find the perfect fit. I think Coach Say said it best. It's got to be the perfect marriage, right? You got to
Right.
find that relationship with that coach and that staff, and then you got to make that union become a marriage, because we're locked in for the next 4 to 5 years, maybe even 6 years, but definitely
Because
4 to
think
5
about it.
years.
Think about what's the core foundation of all relationships. It's trust.
Yeah.
Like they gotta be able to trust you. You gotta be able to trust them. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And if there's no trust, then how are you? If there's no if you're not, there's no communication, then like, how are you going to truly develop into the player that you need to be to get to, wherever you want to get to? Like maybe if you one day want to aspire to the NFL, like how are you going to get to that if you don't have coaches that trust you?
Yeah, that's 100% fact. Let's rewind a little bit. So, I don't want to talk about your feelings. Like, so Air Force pulled it. I want to talk about your feelings at that point. Like, how did you feel at that point? Because that happens to a lot of kids. The kids think they're going signing day, they're going to sign. All of a sudden, the schools pull their offer. It's no longer there. What is your emotions and what's your next steps at that point?
Man, that day was it was interesting because after that happened, Coach Campbell, like all respect to him, good human being, like he told me, and then he mentioned that that he could maybe talk to like Cal Poly or like some like FCS schools like in the Big Sky for me, and I honestly really respected that, like just out of him as a man, like knowing like my situation, like yeah, like admissions couldn't accept me because my SAT score, so like this is the situation now, like it's not like they didn't want me to go there, like they wanted me there, They really did want me there, because we, like me, Brandon Lewis, and JoJo Follow, we were all going to go there together. We all played at Madison, all in the same class. And so that day when I left the office, when he told me, the first person I saw was Brandon Lewis. What a coincidence, because he ended up going to Air Force, ended up having a historic college career over there. One of my best friends, like my brother. And like honestly, man, like I cried. Like we looked at each other and like we knew like what happened, because like I was like keeping him informed about my situation because we were gonna go there together, and like we just like cried together, man. And like I called Coach V and I told him about like what happened, and he's like, "Don't even worry about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we got you." And at the time, like I was a kid, so like it was really hard. Like it's almost like somebody like gave you the world and then like they took it from you, because I really wanted to go to the Air Force Academy too. Like my grandpa was in the Air Force for 22 years. Like I come from a military family, so like it was just something I wanted to do to honor my family. And I didn't have that opportunity, so it hurt. It really did, but I had a great support system. I had you, Montel. I had Coach V. I had Chris Smith. A whole bunch of guys that like were just like, that just had my back. Like my teammates, they were always encouraging me. And it was like not even a day later, I had got offered by Azusa Pacific. When they were still a football program, a D2 football program in Azusa near Los Angeles. So I went on an official visit to Azusa, actually, and I really liked it. Met some of the guys, met the coaches, got to see the culture of the program, and I liked it. I liked how it was close to home, but away from home enough. It was near Los Angeles, so I liked the location. But honestly, I told myself, I was like, Isaiah, like, let me be real with myself, right? Like, I know I have Division I talent. Like, I know I do. Humbly, I know I have Division I talent. I'm confident in my ability. If I get great coaching, right? If I have the right coaching, I know I could be, a solid player at the next level. So I was like, let me see what else comes. Let me not like make a quick decision yet. Let's see if I get any D1s. So I waited a little bit. About a week later, Chris Smith, again, respect to him. He always believed in me. Always looked out. He got me on the phone with Nevada, and I got in touch with Nevada Wolfpack. So I was really excited about that. I thought I was going to go to Nevada, but they wanted to take an experienced JUCO safety instead of like an incoming freshman. They wanted somebody to play right away, be ready right away. And, my body wasn't developed yet, I was only 165 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was just, skin and bones, and I'm a lot more developed now, clearly, but like back then, incoming freshman out of high school, I was just needed my body to develop more. So needed somebody to really believe in me.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when South Dakota called. South Dakota
Yeah.
called. I talked to the defensive coordinator, and he was just like, just talking to me about how much he loved my film. He loved my passion. He could see like my passion on the field and the way like my intensity, my aggression, and that's what he likes in his defense, and especially out of his safeties. And so they kind of saw me as like exactly what I played in high school at Madison, like a rover safety,
Mm-hmm.
that strong safety, that could play out in the field in the open, can cover, but also
Yep.
can play in the box, kind of like a linebacker. So they wanted me to play that, and I talked to all the other coaches, and they were excited, and and they were just always texting me like, I'd be at school like walking, they'd be like, hey, like how was class going or something, like I really respected that. I liked that. I was like, wow, like all the other schools that recruited me, they weren't this personable.
Mm-hmm.
Like other schools, I would talk to them, I would text them, and they wouldn't text me like until like 3 days later. And
Yeah.
like South
Yeah.
Dakota was just like the next 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I really like those little, it's all about the little things in the recruiting process, man. Like you gotta go to the school that wants you, not to the school that you want to go to.
Yeah.
And you'll realize that later down the road, that making a decision like that is a wise decision,
Yeah.
because it's all about who's going to have your back at the end of the day. If you just go to a school where you want to go, you know what I'm saying, but the people there don't have your back on or off the field, then how are you
Yeah.
going to succeed there? You're not put in position to succeed there. You got to go to a school where they want you there. They want to bring you in like family. They want to win with you, and they want to develop and build you into a young man, because you got to think about it. You're becoming a man in this program. Like, kids coming out of San Diego, say if you go to school like out of state, you know what I'm saying? Like you're becoming a man in a whole other world, like in a whole other, like, part of the country. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you got to go to somewhere that feels like a second home, like where they're going to treat you like family, because you're spending the next 4 to 5 years here. And this is where you're going to become a man, like
Yeah.
this is what it is. Like you chose to play division, whatever, college football, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, but it's in another part of the country and it's completely different than what you grew up in. So you got to really make a wise decision when it comes to that. You can't just make very hasty decisions when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
We're gonna talk a little bit more about that, like making the adjustment to where you're at. It's interesting. It's funny because, like you said, when shout out to Coach Vega, Al Sega, sorry, Coach Sega. He's the one that I got in contact with when I sent your film, when I got your film over there, because I had a little bit of connection with South Dakota, and I told him a lot about you. I was like, hey man, this is the dude you need to go get. You said you guys need secondary help. I think this is the perfect fit. And they ended up being the right marriage, right? They offered you and everything came together. And I believe Coach V's the one that reached out to me and said, hey man, can you send this film out to some of your connections? And it just happened to all work out, which I'm happy. I'm so glad it all worked out. You're there. I'm glad you made it there. Everything's kind of, you're there. Culture shock. Let's talk about the culture shock, because we know coming from San Diego to South Dakota is completely different. I mean, it's almost the opposite of everything that's going on. Talk about the culture shock, and let's talk about how you got adjusted, because I think that's a big thing. I think and I'll be honest with you, we know a lot of kids are saying they go somewhere and they come back all the time.
Right.
They go there, they come back. Right. Just because whatever the reason it is, because they don't like it or they just didn't have enough patience to be in the program or something happened. How did you make the adjustment and are able to stay? Because that's a hard thing to do. I mean, let's be honest with you. A lot of kids can't do it. And I want to know how you dealt with the culture shock and how you were able to adjust.
Man, it wasn't easy at all. It was not easy, man. It feels like I've been through like 5 lifetimes out here, man, for real. But when I first got out here, it was just kind of hard for me. It was really hard for me because, I mean, when I was younger, I went on like a family vacation to South Dakota, so I was familiar with like the geography of it, kind of, because I went to like we went to Mount Rushmore, but it was like on the other side of the state, so I didn't know what this side of the state looked like. Um, so when I got out here, it was one of the like vet safeties. Like that's the thing about a program, like you know what I'm saying, like it really like in your position group, like the leadership, like with the players, you know, it does like make an impact on like the development of the freshmen as well. Because I had some good like vet guys, like you know, some like really good vet guys that really like cared about me, looked out, you know what I'm saying, from day one. Like I was picked up by like one of the starting DBs from the airport when I first came out there. Like it was cool, like you know, smooth,
Yeah.
like, and that's always kind of been the culture a little bit. You know, we've had to work on it, but it's always been a sense of like, you know, we do look as players, we do look out for each other, which I really did like, and I noticed on my visit. So you know, I get out there and it's just like all just like I look on the side of the highway and it's just cows and farms and I'm like, but I'm from Skyline. I'm from Skyline, right? I'm from Southeast, right? I'm from
Yeah.
Skyline. I lived in Claremont, like Chula Vista. So I know Dago, right? I know San Diego, but I live like in the city. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a city boy. I'm from the city. So I'm on the highway. I'm looking to the side. I'm seeing all these cows. I'm like, bro, like, where am I at? And so it was a very big culture shock when I first got out here, just from that. Like when I first touched down, just
Mhm.
like big culture shock. And then just being here, like I went through the fall camp, and then like fall camp, it was super hot. So you would think South Dakota's cold, right? But South
Mhm.
Dakota has full seasons. Like
Yep.
that's what young bulls got to understand coming from Dago, going and playing college ball in other states is like you got to deal with their weather too. You feel me? Like we ain't used to seasons out where we're from. We just got one weather the whole year. That's it.
That's so true, man. That's true.
You
That's
know what
real.
I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like I'm thinking it's smooth. Like I came to South Dakota like for fall camp. I came with a coat because I'm thinking it's cold. I came with
Uh-huh.
my coat. I got my other like freshman teammates clowning me. They're like, "Zay, what you doing, man? Like, it's definitely not cold right now." I'm like, "Oh, for real? It's hot." They're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "Dang." Um, but yeah, like fall camp, it was so hot. I was like, "Dang, like it gets this hot out here." It was just so hot, like humid, you know.
Mhm.
And that was definitely like culture shock to me because like I never experienced that type of like humidity. And that was before we had our facility upgrades, right? Before we had our
Mhm.
renovations. So we was using that high grass field. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You really got to pick up your feet. You know, them was
Yeah.
the dog days. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it was just really hard, you know.
What
And
about
one
that?
thing,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. No, continue. And I go ahead. Go ahead. Continue.
yeah, I was gonna say, like along with that whole culture shock thing, like that part, like going to practice and dealing with that, and then dealing just with the environment that I'm in, it's like you really realize, like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just far away. Like, I'm in a whole other, like, you know, area. I'm far away. It's not like I can just like drive back home for the weekend. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like, I'm there and I chose to
Yeah.
be here and I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, like it kind of goes into like the whole mental health aspect of it all. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of guys, they go to that school, they're like, okay, I can ball wherever. Like I'm from Dago, you know what I'm saying? They get there and it's like, wow, like weather, you know, like the people, the environment, you know, the pressure, just the pressure too. Because college football, it don't matter
Mhm.
what level it is, like it's gonna be pressure, enormous amount of pressure because you're holding a roster spot, especially if you on scholarship. Like
Mhm.
they could give that spot to somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's like it's a lot of pressure and competition because everybody trying to get paid. You know, everybody trying to earn their right to be, you know, the one, the two, the three. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's not like high school where you just messing around with the boys, with your homeboys. Like this is a job. You know what I'm saying? Like you got grown men like trying to like, you know what I'm saying, do something
Hmm.
real. So
Yeah.
you know, a lot of young guys probably like they get conflicted with that because it's like, you know what I'm saying, but that goes along with what type of vets you have in the program, you know, to
Hmm.
lead those young guys right. But like the mental health aspect, man, like the pressure, like going back to the pressure of it all, like the pressure of just being like a college football player, coaches, meetings, films, you
Hmm.
know, you gotta be to workouts at a certain time, you gotta do these PRs, you know, you gotta, you know, you try to learn every assignment, you know, do good on the film quizzes, all this stuff that comes along with being a college football athlete. It's a lot of pressure, you know what I'm saying? And so like it's important to like be aware of your mental health, especially like being in a new area, um because it could cause a lot of anxiety and it could also
Hmm.
cause a lot of depression. You know, say you
Hmm.
get really hard on yourself, like you just had a really bad week of practice, not even a bad day, like just a bad week of practice, like dang, like your confidence level just goes down. And just like being from Dago, like we already know, like it's just a culture thing where we're from. Like we have an enormous amount of confidence in ourselves and what we do. You know what I'm saying? And but you get to this whole other place and it's like you get all this pressure and you have a bad week and it's like, dang, like am I really like that? Like am I actually like, you know,
Hmm.
good? And it makes you like reevaluate. It makes you look in the mirror like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of that when I first got out here, man, because like it was just like, wow, like, you know, like I'm keeping up, but it's like, you know I have to redshirt. Like they told me like, oh, you're redshirting
Yeah.
automatically. Like I didn't even have the opportunity to like play as a true
Hmm.
freshman, you know?
Hmm.
So I was just kind of like, you know, like okay, I guess my journey is gonna be a little bit different. And I thought when they told me that, I talked to my family and I was like, yeah, like, you know, I'm redshirting this year. And I'm honestly not even like worried about it because what I thought was I was like, okay, they're redshirting me. Okay, well, I'm also just as good as I am or as I appear to be in athletics. I'm also really good in academics.
Hmm.
Uh, at Madison High School, I was on honor roll every single year. You know, I had different awards, academic awards. Like I took AP classes at Madison as well, AP and
Hmm.
honors classes. So, you know, I've always challenged myself and I've always competed just in life in general. Uh, you know, so I thought, okay, well, I can get a master's degree if I register because then I get an extra year.
Hmm.
So I was like, I could do that academically, really focus on my academics this redshirt year, so I can have that timetable to get that graduate degree when it comes time, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm actually sitting by my bachelor's degree right now, like, and I just got it last year. You know what I'm saying? And you see how like well, and it all goes back to what we talk about. Like I'm talking about having a plan before I even like really entered college. Like I had a plan, you know, so
Hmm.
I strategized. I was like, I want my degree. This is why I'm going to college, is to get my degree, right? That's why you go to
Hmm.
college. Like you play football and stuff, yeah, that's what you do. It's for fun, of course. But like you're in school, man. Like you
Yeah.
know, it's more to life.
I think, man, your perspective on how things are is really unique and it's refreshing because you live in it. You actually lived it and you're living it currently. Um,
Right.
I like the fact that, like you said, being in a small town, coming from a city. Um, I got a red shirt. I have all these discouraging things going on, kind of opposite from what I visioned when I first got here. And now
Exactly.
I got to learn how to deal with it and dealing with it in a small town. Now it could be twofold, right? Small town is good because zero crime, zero distractions. Pretty much life is really really simple in the small towns. You get up,
Right.
go to practice, go to school, eat, come home. Right? That's pretty much
Exactly.
the life there. But also with that being so simple, it's also the opposite things. There is no taco shops. There is no 7-Elevens. There is no I can go find something to do at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night on a Wednesday. Those things
Mm-mm.
aren't there, which some kids are used to doing being in the city. How are you
But you know,
able to?
it did teach me how to cook though.
There you, there you go.
I've
So
had to cook. I've had to cook since I was a young bull here. So
That's good though. That's a good thing though. I'm saying, how were you able to die? And the bottom line I'll get to, how are you able to do it and others can't, man? Because I know you've seen guys that left, guys that came in with you that bolted out. They just couldn't take it. How are you able to internalize all these things going on and be like, you know what? Regardless of how frustrated or how depressed I get, I can keep knocking this down and overcome it because I'm gonna make things happen here. I'm gonna make me happen here. And other kids can't. They can't do it, man. And I really have a hard time understanding why they can't. Me personally.
Right.
I get really frustrated.
And let me hit you right there. Like, so basically you got it right there. So when you said the word can't, that's the problem. It's just that one word.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Many times, not even just these kids, like anybody, they tell themselves they can't do something. Like, I can't can't do that. Oh, I redshirted, so I can't be a starter one day here. Like, they don't, they don't think I'm good enough, or oh, like I can't do this assignment, I can't do this exam. Like, when you continuously tell yourself you can't do something, obviously, like, you're gonna, like,
Crutch.
put that action out. You don't want to put that out into the air. You want to speak positivity over your life, and you want to have positive thoughts. That's the most important part, because when you first get to the school and like maybe like some of the competition is stiff and you like, dang, like, in your mind you start telling lies to yourself about how you're not good enough, and it's detrimental to where your development is going. So you just have to kind of like silence all the noise and just like put your head down, keep working, and keep grinding, and just believe in yourself, because like you're there for a reason, right? Especially if you're on scholarship. Like, come on now, like somebody invested money into you. Like I was just recently, just a few months ago, I was just at the like alumni foundation event that raises money for the scholarships of our school. And that event is like one of the main events that like these people, they give their own hard-earned money to make sure that you have a college education. They pay for your scholarship, you know what I'm saying? The alumni foundation is just like somebody believed in you enough to like change your life. So like, it's not like you owe them something, but it's almost like it's like an honor, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like an honor, and you gotta like wear that with a certain level of like a pride,
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, my story is kind of similar to yours. Undersized kid coming to high school. I went to Humboldt State Division II. I didn't have very many Division I offers because my team wasn't very good when we played high school. But I always knew I could play. And right when I got there, because of my stature and everything, they were like, "You're redshirting," and I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was so frustrated. I didn't understand the process. I didn't understand. But looking back, I know why they redshirted me. I didn't understand football. I didn't know the X's and O's. I didn't know none of that stuff. I just thought I can come in there and ball and play, because all my life I've been able to step in and just play with no problem.
That's how I was too, man. When I first came in, I didn't know any of that. I didn't know formations or any of that either.
No, none of that. So I know when I went in, my frustration, I was up to the point I was so frustrated. I was like, I don't want to be here no more. I want to transfer. And luckily, man, an old head, a vet sat next to me, a senior. He was like, and this was his words, man. He was like, I know you're not going to let these people take away your education because you're frustrated over football. You're not going to let these people defeat you because you're frustrated over football. You need to take the redshirt year as an opportunity of learning instead of opportunity of frustration.
Right.
And he was dead on. I internalized, and I was like, "You're right, man." He goes, you need to take this year to learn, man. Learn the plays, learn time management, learn to get in the weight room to get bigger, learn how classes work in school, how you can move and function out of here. Because like you said to your thing, you're about to become a man. And no one cares that you're 17 years old or 18 years old. No one in that room cares. The only person that cares is you. They look for you, but they're not going to care about your well-being. So you got to start taking accountability for that. And I think a lot of young people don't understand, once you step on that campus, you got to start taking accountability for self right off the bat. Because if you don't, it's going to be a long-ass semester, long-ass year.
And that's why a lot of people end up going back home.
Exactly. And I found a lot of it because they're not accountable, right? They're late. They're late to meetings. They're late to practices. They get frustrated. And I tell my son, who's at Division II right now playing ball, he's in Southwest Minnesota, so he's not that far from you. He's in
Yeah, you're
Minnesota.
like 2 hours away.
Yeah, not that far away. So I always tell him, you can either be part of the solution or part of the cancer.
Right.
Because the cancers are the guys that's complaining. Those are guys that are bitching about practice, bitching about the coaching, bitching about playing time, bitching about workouts. They find any reason to speak negative on the program and what's going on instead of being part of the solution, which helps solve the problems. If we know we have deficiency in here, how can we help this get better? Do we need to call home and recruit some of our friends? Or if some guys are doing bad in school, how can I help that guy do better in school? You can either be one or the other. I say be part of the solution, because if you're part of the problem or that cancer, eventually you're going to get rid of, right? You either expire or they cut it out.
Right.
No one lives with the cancer.
You gotta realize, like, one coach here told me, or not told me, but I heard one coach here say, like, one time, he's like, the grass is greener where you water it.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? Because you know how a lot of times people say, like, the grass is greener on the other side, but it's greener where you water it.
I'm stealing that quote. I'm going to steal that quote right there. I don't know who said it, but I'm going to steal that one. I like that quote.
Yeah, you know? I was like, it hit me. I was like, well, because, like, we had a lot of guys transfer out of our program last season, you know? And it was just kind of like our culture was already shifting, like, it was already being good, but since a lot of guys, I don't know, like, it was just, we had a lot of transfers. It was COVID year, you know? But we were also getting a lot of transfers in as well. So, you know, it kind of impacted our culture a little bit, because then it would get other guys to think about transferring, like, oh, ooh.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when he said that, it was around that time, and it really hit me. And it was like, dang, like, you know, I really did, like, build something here through just me doing my daily work, just me just showing up, just literally just showing up every day. Like, I've built something here, you know, and why would I leave that after? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You built your legacy there, whether it's small or big, but you built your foundation there. You know, everyone thinks your foundation is built in high school. It's not. It's built when you're in college, because so much more is invested of yourself when you're in college. You know, you're invested so much into what you're doing there that becomes your foundation. You know, the one you left in high school is shaky because you got beams are already there. The foundation already built because you stay at your parents' house. High school coaches do different things, real easy. When you get to that college realm and you're dealing with other adults, there's lines you can walk, and you start to build that foundation. I think that's so important. I think kids, and I'm saying this about recruits, they do not understand that. And I don't expect,
because there's two sides. There's the on the field, but there's also the off the field, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. I think that success on the field and the success off the field, I think you got to weigh them both the same. In my opinion, you weigh them both the same. The success on the field is instant gratification, right? People cheering you on, likes and all that stuff. That success off the field is that long-term gratification. That's what's going to take you over the top to get you what you need to get in life. You know, in case this football thing doesn't work, or even if it does work, that education takes you over the top on how to manage your money and do different things and explore different avenues. Man, your perspective is so refreshing, dog. I can't leave it lie. Like, it's good to hear, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. I think you see things through a realistic light, which I think a lot of young people need to understand that. You know, the grass isn't always. I should say, the first opening of a college isn't always going to be, you know, hunky dory or happy go lucky. You got to work. You really got to work yourself in. And the fact that you went to a small town, a small area, and get an adjustment, which majority of kids have to go to. Let's be real. Right. You know, there's only there's no Division II football in California.
Exactly.
This is it. You got to go to the Midwest if you want to play.
And there's a lot of D2 schools out here in the Midwest too.
Yes, they can bowl. They have bowlers. That's what I don't get it. I get frustrated with kids in California when they shun Division IIs. Right, when they I'm not going there. They make every excuse not to go there, and then they talk about how they think the competition is no good. I'm like, you're going to be for a shell shock. Yeah.
They don't know. They don't know, man. D2 got some ballers, especially out here in the Midwest. We had a guy transfer out of our program he was like a Saquon Barkley like frame, like 6'3", 225. Just like he had transferred to Minnesota State Mankato and just
Mm-hmm.
took over like D2 for years. Like, and you know what I'm saying? Like that's D2. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That ain't D1.
Yeah.
Like he was playing
Exactly.
D2, you know what I'm saying? And you got other guys that play D2, you know, that came out, you know, different schools. So it doesn't really matter where you go, man. That's why it's like you gotta go where you're wanted because they're the ones that are gonna support you to get you to that next level that
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah.
when the NFL scouts come in, they're gonna ask like, who are the guys that we need to look at? Who do we talk to? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like who are the captains? Who are the leaders in the program? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like who fuels the culture?
Yep.
Those are the
Exactly. And I
NFL
think
scouts.
that
They're gonna look at those guys.
I think that's so overlooked by young people going in, like understanding like when I get in there, how do I get assimilated to the culture instead of being resistant to the culture because it's not favoring me right now. You know,
Be
I
all
think
in. Be all
yeah,
in.
yeah. Because well, as we know, I mean, I'm sure in that program, my son's program, I even knew when I was playing, there's that certain amount of guys that come in because they're not either playing or whatever case scenario, everything's bad. No matter what happens, it's bad. They think it's bad. The weather sucks. You know, the girls aren't cute out here. Whatever excuse they want to make, they say it's bad, right? Those are
Mm,
the people, and that's why I refer to them as cancers because they have to be cut out of a lot of programs. Now, sometimes they disguise themselves really good, but those are detrimental kids to push into the program. And I raised my own son not to be that person. You're never
right.
going to be the cancer. You can't be.
Right.
You got to either be all in or you know what, quit playing. Don't
Right.
be a part of the program at all because that person that's a cancer is very detrimental and he could spread really fast to other people if you're an influencer. You know.
Exactly. And that happens in a lot of programs. That's the thing.
Yes.
Like we get transfers in and you know, just a part of a leadership thing that I like to do, you know, first I build relationships with my teammates, you know, like I have conversations with guys, I talk to them, get to know them, you know, and then it creates like a better bond when we're out there on the field with each other. You know, we're out there going to war with each other. And some of these guys, they come from FBS schools, you know, like they
Mm-hmm.
transfer down to FCS from FBS, you know, and they tell me
Mm-hmm.
about how the FBS experience was. Like we have a transfer from Temple, you know, New Mexico, like all over, you know, Mountain West, like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, everywhere. We had a transfer from Syracuse, like ACC. So you get a whole lot of different perspectives from guys, experiences, and they tell you how it is, man. Like everywhere
Yeah.
ain't sweet. Just because it's FBS, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. Like it's a toxic, it's either like some of them are very toxic. You
Yep.
know, the players are like, you know, it's just like a toxic culture. Everyone's blaming each other, pointing their fingers at each other. Just not a good place to be in. And it's FBS school, you know, like
Yep.
would you rather be in a toxic environment but play in FBS? Or would you rather be in an environment that feels like home where you're with family and your brothers? You know what I'm saying? But it's a FCS school, but it's still a
Mm-hmm.
good school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's 100% on point, and I think kids need to understand competition of football is the levels are it's small. Like FCS to FBS, it's not that big of a difference. Division 2, especially in the skill positions. Now, in the O line, D line, yes, because of size and speed, height, and all
right.
that. There's where the big difference is. And if people don't know, that's what differentiates you from being Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. North
Yes,
Dakota State is North Dakota State because they have a line that averages 330 across the board. That's why the North
exactly.
Dakota State.
Exactly.
Division 2, Azusa Pacific was a great powerhouse because they averaged 290 across the board when they were D2. So they were very
Okay.
good at there. Most schools in Division 2, their line is average somewhere maybe around 280, right? 280. Maybe there's a few exceptions, but usually the ones that have the big line and the breast or guys that are athletic, they're the powerhouses, and those are the guys that are bubbling on FCS. But skill-wise, I could take a player from Division 2 and put him in Division 1, and he would be either just as productive or maybe a little slightly less productive than the person that's in the FCS school. He still should
Easily.
be good. And I'm not knocking
Easily.
anybody FCS. I think they deserve what they're supposed to be. But there's only so many spots, right? There's
Right.
only scholarship spots you can have. There's only 12. I mean, there's only 16 guys in the secondary. So after
Exactly.
16, they can't take 17. Regardless of
Right.
how good you are, they can't take 17. So I wish kids wouldn't get so frustrated when, hey, I got a Division two, I got an FCS offer, I should be here. Bro, take pride in that offer and go. And make the most out of your situation, like you did, like you said. Hey, I took the rest of the year. I got my grades up, getting my master's now. I'm letting these guys pay for my master. You have that plan. One more last thing.
Exactly, man.
One more last thing
And
before I go.
I'm in my last season of eligibility too. So it's all working out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, your plan is impeccable, brother, man. I'm proud of you. That's why I wanted you on this show. I think that's super important. I think I
yes,
want
sir.
competition wise. Let's talk about that a little bit. And I know you guys conference pretty well with North Dakota State, University of South Dakota State. You
Oh yeah.
guys, Davis, and everybody there. Um, Talk about kids with just from your perspective, kids that are coming out of high school, coming into college. What are they going to have to expect coming into that world?
Mm. So competition, man, like you gotta realize, like, so a lot of kids when they go to their school, when, like the high school that they're at, they're the best player at their high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're so used to being the best player. You know, the ball's in their hand all the time. They're the best player. Nobody really competes with them at their school. This is actually one of the main reasons why I decided to stay at Madison and go to Madison is because of the competition level that we had at that school. So we played at a Division I high school, right? We were a D1 school. We played in the Open and D1. We were kind of
Mm-hmm.
both back and forth. But the practices were so competitive because we had so much guys that were just like, competed. They wanted to win. You know what I'm saying? And we were good at what we did because we worked hard for it. And that really prepared me for the next level. But a lot of guys, they come from programs in high school where they're the best players, so they don't play that competition every single day at practice. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's how college is going to be. When you're at college, you're competing against other guys that are just as good as you or even better every single day. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in the weight room, whether it's in the film room, whether it's in the practice on the field, you're competing with
Mm-hmm.
them every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're competing with yourself, most importantly.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, but that's what you're really gonna have to expect. You get to that next level, and everything's a competition. Everything's being evaluated. It's like our
Yep.
coach tells us, we're evaluating you every day. So it's a competition every day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
I,
not like you can just like take time off.
I think one point that you also got to emphasize on is um, your knowledge of the playbook has to be just as high as your level on the field, your athleticism on the field. Because if you
Hmm.
don't know that playbook, you could be the greatest athlete in the world. You don't know that playbook, they're not putting you in the game.
You're never touching the field.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think kids that's another big misconception. They think they can come in there, hey, I'm a great athlete, I'm gonna be able to play. Uh that playbook's not this small no for, it's this big. And you gotta know
Right.
all the checks and everything that goes along with it in order to be successful at this level.
But think about this too, especially if you're really trying to learn football at the level that you're supposed to learn it at, like to get to the next level. Well, let's get back to the basics. Let's learn, football 101. Learn
Mm-hmm.
how long a football field is. Learn how long it is from the top of numbers to the bottom of the numbers, bottom numbers to the
Mm-hmm.
sideline. Hash marks. Learn that stuff. Learn formations. Learn personnel. It's not just all about what teams are running or what you see on the film. It's a lot more that comes to the film study because you gotta learn the basics, because knowing that it's gonna help you with your alignments when you're on the
Mm-hmm.
field. It's gonna help you
Yep.
play faster. Because how is a coach gonna put you on the field if you don't know formations?
Yep.
Because like you know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
the
You don't
basics
know the
of the
strip
play
call.
is knowing what the
Yeah.
formation is so we know what to do. Like
Yeah, yeah,
so if you
exactly.
don't know the
Man,
playbook, you don't know the basic formations, you're never gonna see the field, dude. Like
that was me my freshman year, man. I couldn't tell what they wanted, what the strength side was. I was in high school. They was like, go play. That's basically what was my job. Go. I'm gonna line you up here. Go tackle the man with the football. That was your job. When I got to
right.
college, they're like, do you know what strength call? And I'm like, strength call? What you talking about? When this guy goes in motion, which way is the strength call? What about when the running back shift? I'm like, man, I don't know what. I didn't understand none of that. So my frustration and wanting to be redshirted actually benefited me. It benefited me, and like you said, to learn those things. Like I got to understand formations. I got to understand, just the field. I got to understand my landmarks when I'm dropping. What am I looking for? What's my read? You know, am I reading the tackle? Is his helmet going down? Is his bonnet going up? Is he pulling? Well, for all those things that I needed to understand. When it's a tight end on my safety, he's covering me. What I got to do? I got to still read through the tackle to see what play's coming my way. Is it a pass or a run? I think kids in high school, obviously, high school is harder to teach them that because they don't have as much time. But I do believe they need to educate themselves. Like, hey, I'm going into a place where I have to learn, and I have to learn fast. And the kids that learn fast and keep getting it right and understand, they play sooner.
That's well, think about this too. You gotta like especially high school guys coming out. You gotta take the extra time yourself to learn it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just wait for a handout. You can't wait for somebody to hold your hand. Like me personally, like I consider myself self-made. I'm a self-made man. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like I never really used like performance trainers and like all this different stuff. I just kind of like came into the program, and I did the whole program here, showed up every day, and then on the off seasons I would just do my own stuff and do our own off seasons. Like I would just do my own things, and I learned the basics of football all since I've been in college. I went down to my redshirt year, I learned formations, personnels, all that. So it helped me watch film. So I learned how to watch film my redshirt year, which was very important. Because then, like, once I started to play, like, I already knew how to watch film. Like, I was a redshirt freshman, and I was, like, top 3 in, like, film minutes in our program, like, consistently, you know, just because I had built that consistency in my redshirt year. So the next year, it was just, like, you know, I was constantly watching it and, you know, saying, and it helped me start to process quicker, like you said, because college coaches, they want to put guys out there that they know they can trust, that's going to run the exact play the way they want it to run. And that's going to make plays out there, you know what I'm saying, and can process fast. You know what I'm saying? Because college is at a faster speed, right? It's faster than high school. Everybody is just as fast as you or even faster. You know what I'm saying? So they want somebody that can process mentally fast. Because if your mind is not linked to your body, you're just going to get exposed out there on the field, and they don't want to put you in a position where you're going to fail. They want to put you in a position where you're going to succeed. You know what I'm saying?
Well, man, that's spot on, brother, man. That's just spot on, man. Isaiah, I can't thank you enough for coming on my podcast, man. I think you shared some golden nuggets that young people and their parents can benefit off of. And like I said, I think the most important thing is, like you said, you got to look in the mirror. Right. Someday, some people look in the mirror and make sure you measure up to where you think you're going to end up going, and make sure that's the right place where you can develop. Doesn't mean you're not a Division I player. You're just not developed to be that person yet.
You're just not developed yet. It's just like if you have faith, it's like God's just saying, like, just not yet, you know, soon. Just be patient. Patience is one of the, you know, fruits of labor. Just be patient, man. Like, you could develop yourself into that D1 player, and if you really can do it, like, transfer out. You know what I'm saying?
Or stay where you're at and do damage, right? Because the league finds you. The league gonna find you. If you're that dog, they gonna find who you are, and you're gonna get your opportunity. I just think kids see the TV, the glitz and glamour on the West Coast. They see it where they don't understand in the Midwest, where you guys are on TV in the Midwest. Division II teams are on TV.
And we're like their NFL out here because they don't have NFL teams here in South Dakota.
Yeah, so I think people don't understand when they go to that Midwest, that NIA school in Nebraska and all these places. Like, dude, you are on TV. You are shining. They are interviewing you in the paper. You're just a bigger fish in a small pond if you're that guy.
100%. Yes.
And embrace exactly what it is. I don't know why you don't want to embrace that. You should embrace that and continue your development there where you're having success, because I think, you know, when you're having success, you're happy. When you're happy, it's easier for you to develop because you can start moving faster because you're comfortable. I think when you get yourself out of that element and you say, hey, I want to go to Division I because I think I'm a D1 guy, I want to challenge myself. Like you said, the grass ain't always green on the other side. This grass is good. It's green when you water it. And if you're watering the grass good right there, continue to be successful. The league's going to find you. Guys from NAIA, Division III, Division II are all getting drafted now.
And think
Besides
about it,
the
they're gonna talk to your professors too. And this is another
yes.
thing guys don't know. These scouts, the forms, they go all the way back to your high school. They go back to your
Yep.
high school. They talk to high school coaches. They go talk to college coaches. They talk to your professors. Shoot, they might even talk to the janitor, the custodian of the
Mm-hmm.
stadium that you play at. They might even talk to
Yep.
him. You know, like
Yep.
how is this, you know, how is he around it? How does he treat you? You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
never know. You know what I'm saying? NFL scouts, they have a certain a way of going about things.
Well, I think not only NFL scouts. Now we got the emergence of the USFL, who's having a successful year. We have XFL that's coming along the way. There's more professional opportunities for everybody to shine
Yes.
and get the opportunity on. I'm saying
Yes.
right now, guys need to embrace where, like you said, that marriage where they fit. Because if you're successful where you're fit, you're going to be successful at that next level. They're going to find you. You're going to have
They're going to
opportunities to
find
try
you.
out. Yeah. You got opportunities to try out and go against Division I guys and combines and all that stuff. And then your talent is going to show. If this is meant to be there, you're going to be meant to be there. The thing I like about Division II schools and FCS schools, especially in the Midwest, is that lack of distraction where you're able to get your education like you are. You're
That's
able to.
100% the difference maker.
Yep. That's a difference.
That's our edge against everyone else in the country.
Yep. And I tell everybody this. That kid that was back up in Alabama that never saw the field, he's in the same situation, bro. He ain't going to the NFL. He's not. He's there to get his degree. But he played
Right.
at Alabama, right? So he set the bench the whole time in Alabama. I always tell kids, do you want to go a place where you're going to play or just be a part of the team?
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Do you want to be an active participant or do you want to be a bystander?
Yep, exactly. So, you got to make it choose. If you really want to go, do you want to go sit on the bench and never play? By all means, go. I'd rather go to a school where I'm going to get a chance to get out in the field and represent the institution and further develop myself on the field and have fun, right? Have that college experience. I think that's one of
Right.
the best parts of the world.
Get the full college experience, you know, play some ball, you know what I'm saying? Go out with your teammates, have some fun, get good grades, celebrate, you know, live life.
Exactly. Man, I want to thank you, brother, man, for coming on this, straight from the horse's mouth. I think you spoke a lot of gems, and I think a lot of kids are going to get some benefits out of this conversation. And I love your story, man. And I always wanted to thank you, man. Thank you for allowing me to help you get recruited. I really do appreciate that.
And thank you for helping me, man. You know, we reach one, teach one, help each other out, you know what I'm saying? Because that's just how life works, you know, and then I pass it down to the next one. That's how we do it.
Absolutely. Pay it forward, man. Pay it forward
Pay it
all
forward.
day, every day. All right, man. I'll talk to you later on. Thank you so much. Straight from the horse's mouth, everybody.
All right.
All my stress.